This is my honest review of Overwatch 2 Invasion and its story missions and new PvE gameplay. So to begin with, these are the statistics. Throughout my playthrough of all 3 missions, it broke down as such. 22 minutes of cutscenes, and by the way, these are genuinely awesome, and 105 minutes of gameplay. This was for a total of 1 hour and 27 minutes, and this was experienced on the hard difficulty. I think though, before we start, I'm probably going to need somebody to explain to me why they remade the Overwatch engine specifically for Overwatch 2 PvE to then only really deliver comparable experiences to the existing archives events. Now I'm assuming it's for the ease of development, but honestly there is nothing revolutionary in these new missions. In terms of the complexity, the 2018 Retribution Archives mission are basically the same. Now look at this. This is the character select from 2018's Retribution and from the brand new Rio mission. You'll be able to see what I mean as these run. Look at the Retribution mission. It's got a lot more flair in it. It looks a lot more developed, even with basic things like selecting the heroes. Then you look at the Rio mission and they've just gone and used the hero select screen. It kind of feels like, I don't want to say cheap, but it feels like less has gone into it. So this is the story mission TLDR. Enemies are bullet sponges on higher difficulties. The AI is terrible and extremely basic. The bots will simply walk towards you or the objective. Gameplay is mid at best, and that is being very generous here, guys. It is very basic. There's no major evolution in terms of mechanics, and you know what? I am genuinely starting to think this is why PvE was canned and heavily scaled back. It's just not really that great. And you know what? I don't even think a talent system would have fixed this, and I'm pretty sure Blizzard have realized that. This is just Archives Plus from a gameplay perspective. There is essentially zero replayability, but the cutscenes and hero dialogue are absolutely fantastic. Like, they really develop the lore and the heroes. It pushes the story forward. It's just incredible work. Also, the enemy visual design is absolutely mental as well. It looks awesome, but it's let down by the enemy abilities being very basic as well. Let's talk about mission difficulty. So, enemies spawn in the same locations. Beyond the special units, mainly the artillery unit, there is little difficulty involved. So, missions tend to run like this. You burn down all the trash mobs, so you'll have all the null sector bots running at you, you kill those. Then you immediately focus fire on the special enemies as they spawn. Now, on the difficulties above hard, the artillery will one-shot you, so you have to move out of the danger zone else you'll just straight up die. Now, it can feel a bit crappy, this can, because you can kind of get hit by it when you don't expect to get hit by it, or you just don't even notice that it's targeting you. Yeah, it doesn't feel great. And I think insta-death mechanics never feel great anyway. It kind of feels like you just had no warning. However, all you really need to do, though, is immediately focus fire on these units as they spawn. It's not really possible to do this with AI teammates, though. So if you want to run on Expert or Legendary, I highly recommend playing with people. Now, I tried to do these with bots, but the problem is the bots will not focus fire the critical targets as they spawn. So they'll end up all getting killed by the artillery unit, and you can't solo the artillery unit because it's now got more HP, and you can't simply do enough damage to it to destroy it. And there may even be 2 of these artillery units, or who knows what, which has spawned, which is never great. So basically all you need to do is focus fire specials as they spawn. So that'll be the artillery unit, subjugators, or stalkers. Focus fire them and you'll generally win the fights. Let's talk about mission gameplay. So there's 3 missions that are available, and out of the 3 missions, Torbjorn's mission, the Ironclad mission, this is based on the Gothenburg map, is by far the most entertaining. The map is incredible as well. Torb's workshop looks awesome. Now, this features a massive Null Sector Titan. Like, it is huge. It's the one from the 0 Hour cinematic. And you know, you're probably thinking, oh, this is going to be incredibly sick. But here's the caveat. It's outside of the map. You can't interact with this, right? So you're basically tasked with charging Torb's hidden turrets around the map to fire at various null sector targets. Begins with firing at a null sector carrier, which obviously takes a lot of damage, and then a massive Titan appears, and oh no, we need to now shoot the Titan. You try to shoot the Titan with one of Torb's normal hidden turrets, doesn't do any damage, so then you have to go back to Torb's workshop and then use his experimental cannon, to which you basically charge that up and fire it at the Omnic. Well, it's not an Omnic, sorry. That is a mistake off me there, but fire it at the null sector robot and destroy it. Now, there is some other little mechanics on this mission, like you get to place different turrets down. You can place like little freeze turrets in Torbjorn's workshop, and you can place little like sort of boop turrets that can boop enemies off. But that's as complex as it gets in terms of mechanics. But you know what? I can't help but feel a little bit disappointed with the way this mission runs, because it would be so cool if you were fighting inside the Titan, or actually trying to destroy the Titan, like taking it on, instead of it just being this element outside of the map. It just seems a real shame to me that it's sort of relegated to being outside of the map, and it periodically fires missiles at your team, and that's kind of all it does. The best things about the missions, though, are they progress the Overwatch 2 lore. This is the first time the lore has been pushed forward in the game's history, which is awesome. It's always been about what's happened in the past, Winston making a recall, new people appearing and going, hey, this is my backstory. It's never been about the future, and it genuinely is about the future of Overwatch. So this is the most exciting thing about this to me. So what happens is, and this is kind of like the abridged version, there's no mega spoilers here, although obviously this video, if you're watching it, there are spoilers in the video. I mean, if you've got to this point in the video, you've realised that already, but whatever. So yeah, in Rio, you're introduced to Lucio and the new null sector threat, but you've got no idea why null sector is attacking. And this mission is identical to the mission that was available for play in 2019. There is no change. It is literally that mission. Yeah, so that's all you learn in that mission. The next mission is Toronto. Now, this outlines Ramatra's plan to subjugate the Omnics in the world and turn them to his way of thinking. Now, it is important to note that null sector enemies are not Omnics. They are not alive. They're just mindless robots controlled by Ramatra. Now, this mission is kind of interesting in the way it's delivered, because I think, again, it screams of we shouldn't really know who Ramatra is at the point of playing this mission, if that makes any sense, because there's a lot of like teasers in the mission as to who could this mystery Omnic be. Well, of course, we all know who this Omnic is because we've played with him for like months and months in the game, and he's been released. I get the feeling like he wasn't meant to come out when he did. He should have been coming out with all of this stuff, and it's kind of a bit weird. So yeah, you go into the mission kind of knowing who the big bad is, although the mission's set up as like, oh, I wonder who this could be, but you already know. It's a bit weird. And then finally, you get to the Ironclad mission. This is Torbjorn's mission in Gothenburg, and this is about trying to work on a solution to the Omnic subjugation. So after completing that, you're left with a, frankly, quite fantastic cutscene, which explains Ram's story, and it's got Mondata involved in it, it's got Zenyatta, and it's really, really cool. And it ends on a cliffhanger where I presume the next story missions will carry on whenever they come out. But yeah, all in all, cutscenes, amazing, and the lore really, really good in these missions. Okay, I want to show you Winston's lab. So what I'm going to do here is click on play, and this will open up this new menu. So we've got added things here. So you've got hero mastery, and then you've got missions, and of course these are all new UI elements. But we're going to click on missions. Now, what is unique about this is it loads up Winston's lab.
Are you all right, Winston?
I just keep thinking about those poor Omnics in Toronto. But I'm sure Torbjorn will have some answers.
So what this is it's essentially an interactive lore database and the mission selection screen. This is how the PvE will be delivered as well. So you can unlock different lore information by playing as different heroes in story missions, which does add a little bit of replayability, although I think that's kind of a bit debatable, because once you've done these missions, I don't think you want to really do them again, especially because you could just Google the answers to the lore. So anyway, you've got this massive screen. So this is obviously in Gibraltar. It's Winston's computer in the attacker spawn. If you click this, it will open up the mission selection screen. Now, they've actually updated this test client that I'm on, so they've got rid of Underworld because they're actually running the archive stuff on this now. So, but there was a selection here for Underworld where you could click that and then you could go and play Underworld. But anyway, this is the hero missions, and all this is saying is, look, there's a new mission in Gothenburg, and there's the Rio mission and the Toronto mission. And obviously, like, I mean, you can't click on these, which I think is like I would have liked to click on the map or whatever. It's only small. But if I click on the Rio mission, you'll get this.
Is anyone there? Rio is under attack. We need help.
Winston, I've lost his signal.
Not to worry, Athena. We're on our way.
So, again, like I said, this is really nice, you know. Obviously, with Winston talking to Athena, a bit of audio there from Lucio, then you basically pick your difficulty and then play the mission. And there are mission challenges associated with this, and you can see like how I've gone through some of these missions and got some of the rewards. So if we go back to this, yeah, I mean, that's that mission, and you would play through it. Liberation.
Prepare the dropship, Athena. We're ready to depart for Toronto.
Again, same thing. A little bit of a brief. Yeah, off you go. Pick your difficulty, and then of course you got Ironclad.
and Reinhardt are heading to Gothenburg, Athena.
Should I inform Agent Lindholm?
No, let's make it a surprise.
So okay, so that's basically the main mission selection screen. You do have this, the Intel database. Now this is the lore database, and you'll see there are various unlocks here. So firstly, if I click on heroes, you'll see that there's new next to these heroes, and it's because I've played them in the missions. So if I click on, like, Farah, for example, oh no, maybe I haven't played Farah. Oh no, so I haven't done a Liberation mission with her. If I do that, then I'll get this classified lore unlock. And as you can see, it's like a text update, you know, a bit of information, a bit of lore. This is okay and it's great, but like I said, I don't really think this is something that's going to make you replay the missions, because, like, honestly, you can just Google this and get the information if you wanted to. But yeah, so I mean, I played as Bastion. So Bastion on Gothenburg. So I've got the intel of Bastion, which I presume everyone gets. But then I get this, look, because it's like, oh, actually, I've done the Gothenburg mission with him. So I get a bit more information here, a bit more story. You know, it's cool, right? But again, it's not that great. It would be nice to have this as a little video or even audio. Now, there is audio you can get. So obviously beyond the heroes, and of course, there's not every hero in this. These are just the heroes you can play in the story missions. So mission lore, this is when you've completed a mission. So like Rio de Janeiro, you can see I've got all this bits of stuff. And there is actually videos and audio in this section. So 0 Hour, this is a 0 Hour cinematic. Well, obviously, I'm not going to play that. This is a prologue. Then you've got Rio de Janeiro briefing. Fantastic. And then this, which is audio and video, sorry. So that's the pre-mission cinematic. Mission success, get a bit of info there, and then the post-mission. And this kind of does show you like the way this works. So the missions are like bookended with cinematics. So you've got one at the start and then one at the end. Sometimes you get one in the middle. On Rio, you do get one in the middle because you sort of get in the dropship and fly up to the dropship and do all of that stuff. And it's sort of like an in-game kind of experience, but it's still, I'd say, a bit of a cinematic. So yeah, pretty cool. And like you said, you can see I've been through all of these, and you know, you just get same thing. So yeah, pretty cool, right? The next thing you get is general intel. So this is more of just like everything. Now, what's really cool about this is it shows you all of the like, I like this for null sector, because you can see all the null sector enemies, and it tells you what they are. So it gives you a faction overview, pretty cool. But then it's like, hey, there's a null trooper. You know, there's a jump jet trooper. And you can see, actually, like what I was saying earlier on in the video, the design of these enemies are actually quite good. There's the artillery that'll one-shot you. The charger unit that just, well, as the name suggests, it charges at you. You need to get out of the way as you take high damage. The stalker unit, which just pulls you in. The subjugator, which kills the Omnics. The vulture, which flies around and drops this null field, which you don't want to go into. The slicer, which is really fast and runs towards objectives and destroys them. I mean, we've all seen these in, like, uprising missions and since like 2016. Breacher unit is just a bomb on legs. I was going to say on wheels, but it's not. And then the Titan unit, which is not, it exists outside of the map, so it's not really a thing that you attack. If that makes any sense. But yeah, you know, it's cool, right? You can look at Talon and go, oh well, there's a bit of info on Talon, but we don't know much about them because the story hasn't progressed yet. But it will when we get the Talon mission set. You know, what about Vishkar? Well, yeah, there'll be a Vishkar mission set, and we'll get a bit of info on them. What about the Shambali? Well, we've got bits of info because we've learnt about them through the story. Obviously, Aurora being the first Omnic that was alive, and she sacrificed herself and gave sentience to all of the Omnics. You know, you got information on the Iris. We've seen this in the sort of little anime they released. You got Mandata, Zenyatta, and then Ramatra. Like, so it's cool. It is a more concise way to consume the lore. But this is available if you haven't bought the story missions, I think. although that was never confirmed, but I think it is. I think everyone can just read this, but I don't think you can obviously get the unlocks unless you've got the missions. So yeah, Ironclad Guild from Torb, and then we've got a bunch of miscellaneous lore, so it's fine. Now, the next thing I want to show you guys is, before we go to incoming messages, I kind of want to just show you that they have tried to add a little bit of that Blizzard, I guess Blizzard magic from old to this, because you can click on various items on his desk. Now, if anyone played Warcraft 2, most notably, you could repeatedly click on the units, and the units would talk to you, but they'd get increasingly annoyed as you were clicking on them. They'd be like, stop clicking on me. And it was really cool. It was like fourth wall breaking, but really fun. This isn't like that, but it's a bit of extra stuff for messing around. So
I wonder if Lena noticed the bunny ears. Do you think they remember us as heroes?
Overwatch saved the world, Winston. Your actions have not been forgotten.
You're right. And it's time to do it again. I should make another copy of this. Athena, when this is all over, remind me to take a picture with the new team.
There is no benefit to waiting. Taking one now could boost morale.
Perhaps, but who knows? We might recruit more agents along the way.
So it's pretty cool, and you can see the monitor to the left has actually turned to a screensaver as well. Now I've hovered over it and it's gone. But like, it's cool, right? Like, you can see they've...
It's not clutter, it's a souvenir.
Did you know that Gothenburg's trams were the first to use magnetic levitation?
How interesting. What a revolutionary development.
Winston.
What? They really reinvented the wheel. Transportation has come.
You get the idea, right? I could click on all these, but you know...
A device that only targets Omnics. How cruel. I hope we find a way to save these Omnics. If we want to save the world, I'll need a bigger mug.
And also, he's got his peanut butter button on his computer. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else interactive around it. There may be some Easter eggs or something. I don't know. But yeah, then you get this, the message system. Now, this is like real-time communications to Winston, and it's people talking to him. And there are voicemails in this, and there's a certain Reggie character who looks like he might be Breaking Bad. We'll leave it at that. So yeah, okay, cool. You know, bit of, you know, some off Sojourn great, but like, yeah.
Hello, it's Reggie. You remember me, right? The attorney in Toronto? Yeah, you remember me. Sorry I missed you. I guess you're busy saving the world or something. Yeah, anyway, I wanted to drop you a line and make sure you had my number. I'm betting you're going to find a way to help all those Omnics with machines on their brains. And when you do, you know, can you do me a favor? Just give me my number, because you will not believe the class action lawsuit I'm working on. Yeah, anyway, I gotta go. Oh, jeez, I didn't give you my number. Hold on, it's a...
So yeah, pretty funny that the Blizzard game is talking about a class action lawsuit. But yeah, that's basically what Winston's lab is, right? And this is how you experience the PvE. So next up, we've got the co-op missions. Now, these are not story missions as such, but they are additional missions you can play. Now, these are free to play. You don't have to buy whatever the PvE story mission pass is. You can just play this. Anyone can play these. But what they essentially are is recycled hero missions, from what I can tell. So as we all know, the hero mission system was scrapped. And what these missions are is they'll change every now and then with different modifiers available. Now, we do know they've worked on hundreds of these missions in the past. So I'm pretty sure they've got enough co-op mission content for like years and years to come. Basically, think like the old archives events with modifiers. That's what these missions are. But they don't really have any meaningful story, or I guess at best, it's side adjacent lore to the main storyline. Now, what I would do is expect mechanics such as item collection, item drop-off, and there are enemies that can steal pickups and run away with them. The maps are also typically at a different time of day and feature unique areas to this mode, because these maps are obviously maps that we play on. So the Underworld mission is played on King's Row, but it uses that new area of the map. But yeah, these missions are free to play, and I don't actually think they're too bad. They're kind of fun to just jump in. I think the modifiers do make them interesting. Obviously, there's like challenges and stuff associated with these. They're okay. They're a nice little time waster. What about the value? of these story missions. Is $15 worth it for what you get? Well, compared to the price of in-game cosmetics, or even using those as a baseline, then yeah, it is worth it. Would you buy, you know, a $19 skin or an $18 skin or $15 worth of missions that you're going to get probably an hour and a half of entertainment out of? Well, in my mind, I'd take the entertainment over, you know, some skin you can only really see part of in first person anyways. But anyway, be under no illusions here, guys. This is Archives Plus with added cinematics. Which I must say you can easily watch on YouTube or any other social media and learn the lore implications without actually spending any money. Now, the story missions, they've just got no replay value in my mind. Yeah, sure, you can go for advanced difficulties, you can go for trying to use every single hero to get all of the little lore unlocks, but again, like I said, you could Google for that, and I don't feel like the missions change enough or add enough, or even are designed to be replayable, because once you've been through it, it's almost like replaying that mission over and over again in your favorite single-player game. You kind of don't do that because there's no reason to keep doing that, you know what I mean? Unless maybe you like doing that, I don't know, but I just really struggle to see any replayability here. In fact, I would go as far as to say there is no replayability. There is also a lot of discussion around these missions being $5 each. Well, it's only $5 a mission. That's not entirely accurate because you cannot buy the missions on their own. You can only buy them all together. So it is $15 for this experience. And you could quite easily argue these three together are one mission. You know, so there's loads of different ways of looking at this. But in terms of the value, is it worth it for $15? I mean, I'm struggling to just... I can't sit here and wholeheartedly recommend this as, oh yeah, this is a must-play experience. You've got to try this. You've got to get into it. And like, the other issue is we knew we sort of had a good idea as to what the game could have been and what the game is now. And so there's all these issues as well. Is it worth it? Oh, dearie me, I don't really think it is. So what is my conclusion here after playing these story missions and experiencing all of this content? You know what, guys? I think it's quite clear now why PvE was highly scaled back. I just don't think this is very good from a gameplay perspective. There is very little innovation here. But I am happy that Overwatch's story is moving forward and that Overwatch is moving forward. I want to see how the story progresses. I do think they need to fully recommit to the PvP aspect of the game, though, and that's probably what they're doing. And it looks like maybe or hopefully they're going to look at changing up some of the monetization and try and target a bit of longevity rather than, you know, spend more time on this type of PvE content, because this must take a lot of effort to develop. But I just don't really feel like this is much of a evolution over what we've experienced in the past, which, you know, essentially was free. But you know what, guys? I think the decision has already been made to focus on PvP, and I think that's what all of the communications were around the time of the whole Overwatch PvE is cancelled stuff coming out, because that was them basically saying, yeah, you know, what we've got isn't really that good, so we're just not really going to focus on that. We'll give you a bit of it, we'll try and sell it to you, and then we're going to go back to focusing on PvP. I think that's what's happened here. So yeah, am I disappointed? You know what, I'm not really disappointed, because this is what I expected it to be. I expected it to be Archives Plus. I expected it to be a pretty mid experience in terms of gameplay, but I also expected the lore to be good, and it is, and so I've enjoyed it for that. Alright guys, there you go. That is my honest review to Overwatch 2 PvE and its story missions. Do let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and I'd really love to see your thoughts on this, especially if you've played through it, or based, you know, even if you just watched it, because there is the interesting dynamic here where you don't even need to play this stuff. Like, you can just watch the lore, watch the cinematics, and that's it. You know, you're up to speed. You don't need to play through this. Yeah, you will get the odd voice line, you'll get to play, you know, some of the mechanics they've got, you know, and yeah, fine, but it's kind of not essential. It's interesting. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. See you soon.